Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Dustin Fox, Jason Lloyd, Tyvis Powell, plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
Hey, happy Hump Day! Cleveland sports fans, it is great to be with you again. Welcome to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Big show today.
Big time.
Big show.
Did anybody see John Fanta's rant?
Yes.
After the Week 1 loss?
Yeah.
No, I missed that one.
Jack, he was fired up.
He was hot.
He was
I've never
ticked
seen
off.
him like that.
Listen, I love John. Me and John, we talk frequently.
But have you ever seen Angry Fanta?
No, and I had never seen him in a football capacity. He got so angry, and John, just like us on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show where we don't curse.
Yeah.
John does not curse on camera.
No.
And he ended
No,
that
I
rant
won't be
with-
either.
He ended that rant with, and I'm ticked off, which is as close to John reaching that level of you can't cross as you could ever get.
I was shocked. I could be like I said, I've never seen Angry Fanta. It was kind
For
of
anyone
fun.
who hasn't seen it,
I liked
Jay,
it.
we're gonna lead into
Spicy.
John with the rant.
Beautiful.
Just a heads up.
Perfect.
All right, there you go. Reason to watch.
Perfect.
He's on when? 11:45.
11:45, correct.
And then our buddy Shaun King, who is our quarterback professor.
Okay.
He was in last week. Correct me if I'm wrong, McNuggets. His breakdown of Deshaun Watson went crazy for us, didn't it, in terms of total views?
Yeah, it did very well for us, and we're adding another element to the Shaun King coverage. So on the show, we can't show video. However, and that's a whole different conversation. However, on Twitter, we can. So after today's show, Shaun and I at 1:30 are going to tape an actual film breakdown segment where he's going through play-by-play. He picked 6 plays from the game against Jacksonville. He's going to break them each down. Then we're going to post that on Twitter later tonight, tomorrow, and then the last one will be on Friday.
And then we can show it.
Yeah, because it's on Twitter. There's all these silly rules that, whatever, we can argue about them. I have no say in it.
You can come in the side door, but you cannot come in the front door.
So today,
Sounds like a bunch of BS to me.
So, yes, later today on social
could've
media
said pause on
and
that,
leading
Jay.
up to Friday, we'll have some
But
real
I
film
ain't
breakdown
want
from
no
Shaun
problems.
King on Deshaun Watson.
All right, very good. So Sean's on what time? 12:15?
12:15 for Shaun King.
All right. Sean was great last week.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Were you in when he
I was. He brought the fire.
He brought it, man.
I'm anxious to see what he thinks this week.
My first question is,
Right.
where was the improvement?
Right, yeah,
Where did our
yeah.
guy get better?
Yeah.
By the way, you're naming the fits now. On Monday, you had Cashmere Thoughts. It was kind of a lace number. It was actually partially see-through. Mm-hmm. You weren't here to appreciate that, but so that was Cashmere Thoughts. Today we're going with the all sky blue look.
Yeah, right
The
here.
shoes match. I don't know if we can get a shot here from the side cam.
See, this is right here. These
These are like
Are
denim.
those the OGs?
yeah, these
Those are denim.
These are OG denims. You know what
Wow.
I'm saying? Shout out to StockX. we rocking
Are
the
those
road.
the OG 90 denims?
I believe these is the 90s right here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? This right, instead of do or die, this is do or denim right here. This whole
Do
fit.
or denim.
Do or denim.
Yeah. So
Bro, you got the hat.
How did you name-
Matchy
I
Limit that.
I don't know what this is. Is this a real team?
Let me see.
Is this a real team?
Some sort of a pirate.
I thought I was looking at it and I was like, listen.
Let me see the back. There's the logo on the back.
Well, that's the Clink Room. Shout out to the Clink Room
it
right
looks
here.
it looks like some sort of
What's the
nasty,
Clink
angry
Room?
fish.
The Clink Room, shout out to them. They create. So basically, what you do in the Clink Room is these are user inspired, like regular people inspired fitted hats. So you submit your drawing, and the Clink Room basically creates.
so
them.
it's not a team then.
And they release it to the public. But some of them are inspired. So to me, I looked at this hat and was like, man.
Some cat just made that in his bedroom,
Right.
and now you're wearing it.
Can we call that Old Man Winter? Look,
I think that's a great call.
It looks icy.
Right. That's
old.
crazy. I was like, man, if the Lake Erie captains could have this one, that would be crazy.
That would be nice.
Right? Looks like Captain Jack Sparrow up there, his cousin.
That's exactly right.
Actually, now that you say it, I think the whole outfit could be Old Man Winter.
Yeah, you're right. If an old man was wearing this outfit, people would take him to jail.
So this is do or denim.
Do or denim.
All right, we're naming the fits now on the
Shout out
Ultimate
to you
Cleveland
guys.
Sports Show. If you have any fashion tips or ideas for G. Bush, you can send them along to gbush@homeshoppingnetwork.com. and he'll sell these on Thursday nights. You go on there, right?
Yeah, and
to sell your fits.
And then I will sign this as well. But matter of fact, I gave these out. Shout out to the people on Ultimate Browns yesterday. I gave out 6 Kool-Aid Mafia flags. We have flags now.
Is that like the one back here?
No. They're bigger.
Oh, they're bigger.
They flag on flagpoles.
So you can actually fly these in front of your residence.
Yes. Shout out to the I think it was the Tri-County Browns backers. I sent them one. They're going to wave it in New York.
Okay.
So,
there you go. Well, hey, someone's got to do it.
Got to, man.
All right, let's dive in. McNuggets, take it away.
Let's do it. We got some Browns topics. We're going to talk a little Guardians. I think Bull, who called out sick this morning, was fine until Myles Straw got picked off last night. I could hear him yell. I think that is what caused Bull to lose his voice. We'll talk some Guardians at the end of the show as well. But let's start today with FanDuel. You guys have heard us talk a lot about FanDuel before. It is America's #1 sportsbook, and right now we have a little something different for everyone out there. Starting now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then with the YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime you want. Just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to download America's #1 sportsbook. And guys, today our first topic of the show involves some FanDuel odds. I was curious. 2 weeks into the season, the AFC North standings don't look like what we anticipated. The Ravens and Bengals both 0-2, the Browns 1-1, the Steelers 2-0. So I said, I wonder what the AFC North division odds are right now on FanDuel. They change week to week, with each game result. And to my surprise, these are the most updated as of this morning AFC North odds according to FanDuel. The Ravens, despite being 0-2, are plus 200 to win the division. The Bengals 0-2, plus 210. The Steelers at 2-0, plus 280. And the Browns, who are currently in second place at 1-1, are plus 460. Is that good value, great value, fair value, or completely undervalued the Browns?
I think that's probably the right number.
Oh, really?
I do. Yeah, they're
No kidding.
they're 1-1 team, man.
Well, gee, am I in the minority?
I think it has a lot to do with the 0-2 starts for other teams.
Yeah, but they didn't adjust. Like, it's almost like they completely ignored the fact that the Bengals and Ravens are 0-2, and they really punished us for the loss to the Cowboys. Why is that so punitive for us? But
Or maybe they don't think Jacksonville's very good.
Possibly. And the fact that Dallas went on to get boat raced by New Orleans didn't help us either.
True.
But it's almost like the 0-2 starts for Cincinnati and Baltimore don't even factor in.
But I think they're looking at it like their 0-2 is a little different. When you lose at Kansas City, both of them in very close games.
I understand that.
So
I get
that's
that.
where they was going. And I think, listen, this is, again, it's a referendum on the quarterback. Like, hey, look, they're not a believer in what, what Deshaun Watson has shown on film so far. So they're not going to jump off the roof with that. They're going to make him play. They're going to make him play good for a multitude of weeks in a row before they start adjusting anything.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I like those.
That's a great value.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I don't know that the Browns are definitely going to win the division, but those odds,
but at
almost
460,
5-1.
That's why I was surprised that you said that's about right.
Oh, I mean, I do think it's probably the right, or somewhat close to being the right number right now, based off what we've seen. I mean, obviously the records would say otherwise, but I mean, we watched the games. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're not gonna make the odds just based off the records. They're gonna make the odds based off, number one, where people are betting.
Mm-hmm. This is a statement that the Browns are who we've seen.
I think
they're not going to drastically improve.
It's a wait and see deal with the Browns at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I would think so too, but it seems to me they've baked this into the cake.
Yeah.
It's a week to week. Look, if I said Deshaun Watson was throwing for 4,500 and I didn't be like, we're going to have to readjust and calculate these numbers based on what we're seeing.
Well, you haven't completely done that yet, have you?
Oh, no. No, I mean, I'm still holding out hope. For me, I want him to end the season in a crescendo. I want him to keep getting better each and every week. And then if by week 9 he's in midseason form and he's playing the best we've ever seen him, great.
Sure.
But for these odds today, the Vegas is like, no, we're going to need to see more.
Mikey, what do you think?
I think the numbers about right. I think the Ravens and Bengals are. I think all the numbers are in the right range.
Okay.
But if you're looking to make money, I like betting on the Browns. If that kind of to
agree.
what Dustin's point is, it's good value, but I think the number's actually about right. Even though I don't think they should be that far behind. I don't think any team, frankly, with the uncertainty of both teams starting 0-2, or Cincinnati and Baltimore starting 0-2, and Pittsburgh, I'm not buying Pittsburgh despite the 2-0 start.
No, and what's
I think
their
those
number?
ones are too low.
Pittsburgh's like 280.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
280.
okay. How about the Browns are at 350?
That's what. Which
Like-
is why I like the value.
I think at 350 it would be appropriately set. At 460, they're begging. You know what I think they're doing? I think they're baiting Cleveland fans, knowing they're going to look at this and say, "You're out of your tree," because that's what we do. Mm-hmm. Whether we're right or wrong this time, I don't know. But I think that just seems like a sucker line to me.
You know, Jay, I wouldn't get too caught up in the number of plus 460. I think that the idea is more the conversation is the Browns are picked fourth.
Mm-hmm. Right, and that's
know what
why
I
I
mean?
say you can put the Browns fourth and put them at plus 350,
Yeah.
and they're still a ton behind the Steelers. They're telling us we're not even in the Steelers' neighborhood.
Yeah, they are though. I mean, it's not a.
I don't buy that we're not in their neighborhood.
I would take that bet.
Well, I think you got to think about it like this. How many people saw a 1 o'clock Jacksonville game?
No, that's
Not
a very
very
fair
many
point.
There
We
were
all
10
saw
games
Dallas.
at 1 o'clock, by the way.
10.
No,
games.
that seemed like the most I could remember. There was very little 4 o'clock action.
So you got
3 games.
You got buried in the 1 o'clock Jacksonville game. It was a sloppy game. It was raining, and you won 18-13. You can't even find highlights from that game, right? So, but guess how many people saw Week 1?
No, we all did.
Everybody
It was
and
the
their mom
national
saw
window.
Week
Now,
1.
that's a great point, G. That's a great point. I think that's a bargain. I think it's a bargain. I'm not saying the Browns are going to win the division, but at plus 460,
So, say for instance, if I put
throw a hundy on it. What do you have to lose?
Exactly.
if you do throw 100 on, what do you get? 500 back?
400?
On that, on the plus 460,
Yeah.
$100 brings back. Well, you win 460 plus your stake, so it's 560.
Yeah, so I mean, you're not out your 100.
No,
but
you
yeah.
get your stake back.
You're essentially winning $460.
That's all right.
Correct.
That's all right.
1,000 to win 4,600.
That's all right.
Have you ever done that?
No.
1,000?
No, never.
On a game?
Never.
On a line? On anything?
No.
Hey, look, I tell you what. Hey, look, it hurt me when I lose 25.
Yeah.
Y'all don't have a Asian wife. No, it's expensive. What are you doing?
Didn't she like sort of hijack your account or something? I remember last year you said something like,
Oh yeah.
you needed permission on everything.
Man, no, my accounts was looking crazy because I was taking them, on FanDuel. It's easy now. You take it right out your checking your savings.
Sure, right.
Them boys was coming out. She was like, "What is this gambling?" You know you're in trouble when she says it twice. Gambling. I was like, no, that's just FanDuel. She was like, $50? No, we have to have we had a discussion. I came to the crib. She was just sitting there with her arms folded.
you know you're in trouble.
Sitting Indian style on the couch. First of all,
With all the lights off.
like just real dim. First of all, how small you got to be to sit Indian style on the couch? I'm like, that's creepy. Don't do that. And I'm like, man, look, I'm telling you, bro. Listen, I just want. Now, we did get in an argument because she told me I couldn't. I said, all right, I'm gonna be done after March Madness, right? But in March Madness, I won.
Oh.
So I listen.
So now she's like, keep going.
No. Now she was like, why did you tell me you won? I need some of this money for this. I said, nope, you can't get no money. She was like, what do you mean, no? I never told her no. No, you can't get. You said the rule was. I'm looking at her like, the rule was you didn't want me to play. Now you want the dividends? No, doesn't work that way.
Can't benefit from that.
I'm going to buy 5 new fitted hats and Jordans with this.
I don't know. I think it's a good bargain. I think I don't bet, but if I did, I'd like to throw some money at that because
Have you ever put 1,000 on something?
A wager.
I don't bet.
Smart.
I don't bet.
What?
I don't bet.
Like you just like this is even ESPN, Jay.
Nope.
This is
and ESPNJ had access to a lot more information.
Listen, and ESPN. Listen, I want to see some of them wagers floating around on that ESPN set back then. Them wagers had to be crazy.
I'll tell you this though. I have friends that right now have gambling problems that didn't before gambling was legal.
Yeah.
And it's destructive, guys. Bull has talked about it.
Yeah.
Bull went down that rabbit hole.
Oh yeah.
And it's destructive. I mean, that's why I think it's very important that you bet what you can lose. Period. Look, we talk it on the show. One of our major sponsors is
FanDuel.
Is a gambling service. I think it provides an incredible service for entertainment for tens of millions of Americans. Mm-hmm. And I think by and large, it is a great thing. It gives people, first of all, it's great for the NFL. Ratings are up. Why?
Yeah,
if you have a dog in the fight on a Thursday night game that you ordinarily wouldn't have bet, you have a reason to watch. That drives the ratings up. That brings the revenue up.
Listen, you got a Tuesday night game to bet on Ball State, man. Let's go.
Hey, exactly. Maction exists.
Right.
Millions of viewers.
Because of gambling.
Millions.
Yeah.
Because if you couldn't wager on those games, the numbers wouldn't be what they are.
Yeah. Shout out to the parlay. Shout out to FanDuel, by the way. And some of the great parlays that you put together. And people say G. Bush, those are sucker bets. Hey, me and Tyvis, we got put on probation. I'm like, Tyvis, we was one away. Darius Garland needed 3 more assists, and he didn't get them.
It's like being one away on a lottery ticket.
Yeah, it's devastating.
Throw it away.
It's devastating.
But gamble what you can afford to lose, and then I've got no issues with it.
Gamble responsibly.
But for me personally, I decided a long time ago when I was poor that when I get money, I'm holding on to that with a death grip.
Probably smart.
And I'm investing it, and I'm going to let those dollars. $1 I made in 1987 is probably worth $10 today.
That's a beautiful thing.
And I studied investment.
About to walk out of
here
with my tail between my legs.
And that's gambling too, by the way. The stock market is gambling. But
it is, right? That hurts too.
Hey, Jay.
Yes.
In terms of the AFC North real quick, take money out of the equation. No odds. If you just had to say right now today, when the season is over, who will be on top of the AFC North? Yeah. Which of the 4 teams, with the information we have available to us, would you say, just based off record, this has nothing to do with FanDuel, is the favorite to win the division?
I would say I would put the Bengals and the Ravens each with 30%. And the remaining 40%, I would give 22% to the Browns and 18% to the Steelers.
I'm going to tell you this. If the Browns get to 3-1, I actually think the Browns have that 30% chance or 35% to win the division.
You do?
Yeah,
because the next 4 are a gauntlet.
Right.
Like, look what we have coming up after our first 5. Look what we have.
Can I see the schedule?
I think it's Philly, Cincinnati, Baltimore, and the Chargers.
Yeah, so if you do like the Browns to win the division, so take the odds out of the equation. If I was to ask you straight up, who do you like to win this division? And your answer is Cleveland. Now is the time to bet on the Browns. Because
you couldn't be more right.
Because right now it's plus 460. Anthony, take the schedule here full. You got the Giants this week, then the Raiders and the Commanders.
That number's going to go down. That number's going to go down.
There's a good chance to beat the Giants. With each win, the number's going to go down, make it lower odds. There's a good chance they could win all 3. I'm not saying they're going to go 3-0, but there's a good chance, and they will be favored in each of these 3 games, that the Browns, at the end of Week 5, are in the 300s, potentially in the high 200s, and then once the schedule turns to Week 6, and these games come through, you want to get in much before the odds reflect the immediate upcoming schedule than when this gauntlet hits. So if you like the Browns in the question of who do you think will win the division, take FanDuel odds out of it, now is the time to bet on the Browns.
I couldn't agree more.
Them next 4 games is very difficult. And like I said, when you got the quarterback playing the way he is right now, I'm looking week to week. I'm not trying to get ahead. Each one of those teams they can beat, but they can also lose those games, multiple of them. But you take a look at that second stretch right there. The reason I say if they get to 3-1 and have an opportunity is because they do have the Eagles game, right? That's an NFC game. So, okay, you lost to the Cowboys. That's an NFC game. Not saying they don't count, but those games.
We just saw the Eagles lose at home.
But we just saw them
to a team they should have beat.
So they should have won that game, and I don't know what their coach was doing either.
I don't either.
The Bengals Ravens, Chargers, all at home, 3 in a row.
Yep.
You know, the Browns play great against Joe Burrow. They have played great against him. You get the Ravens at home, you get the Chargers at home. You got an opportunity, if you can start to put some stuff together, you got an opportunity in this first little half to figure out and get a little bit of a cushion. I don't know what the Steelers are going to do, but I don't like the Steelers roster. I think
I like their defense a lot.
I like their defense. I don't know. I'm not sure about the offense, Dustin.
Yeah.
But you know, what would you need to see in the next 3 or 4 games for you to say, I think the Browns got a good chance of winning?
Look, I think they got to win. They got to win these next 3 games. By the way, if you would have asked any of us maybe last week after the Cowboys game, those odds, we'd have been like, it should be 10-1.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's how much we change week to week. With that being said, yeah, the things would change. I mean, if the Browns can be 4-1, I think that we'd be all talking about, man, they look like a team that's going to win the division. But they could lose to the Giants this week. And all of a sudden, on Monday, we're talking about the Browns again. They've got no chance to win the division. Heck, they don't have a chance to win or get into the playoffs.
To that point, Dustin, you know
I
what
went full Jim Moore there.
Which we already knew. But it's like when the offseason happens, our brains get bulk erased of history in the NFL. Mm-hmm. Here's what we know through 2 weeks of the NFL. Anybody can beat anybody.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
I mean, with maybe the exception of Carolina. And who knows now? Andy Dalton gets plugged in. Who knows? I wouldn't touch that game because I don't know what they're going to look like with Andy Dalton.
Agreed.
They're probably not going to be much better. But when you watch the outcomes in the NFL, no one had the Raiders going into Baltimore and winning that game.
Mm-mm.
Nobody. Mm-mm. Nobody had the Eagles losing Monday night.
Nope.
At home.
That game was in tow. That should have been game over.
It should have been. It was similar to what the Browns were doing in their game. And I thought there was Scott Van Pelt, and I know he had to feel awful about this. They do a tickle at the 2-minute warning or so where Scott is on the field and he teases the post game. I love Scott. Scott's one of the best to ever do it. But when he said it, I actually said, that might be a little premature. Scott said, coming up after the game, we're going to have our post-game show and we're going to talk to winners. We're going to talk to members of the winning team, which at this point looks pretty certain it's going to be the Philadelphia Eagles. And when he said that, I thought, wow.
Yeah, a little early for that.
And I'm watching the ManningCast.
Okay.
I'm flipping back and forth. On the ManningCast, and this was one of the craziest things I've ever seen a smart Hall of Fame caliber player ever say. Matt Ryan was the guest in the fourth quarter. And Matt Ryan said, the only way they can win here is if they get the ball back and score and then recover an onside kick. And I'm going, wait a minute. Is my math off? And just about the time I said, this guy's nuts, both Peyton and Eli at the same exact time said, well, no, Matt. If they hold him to a field goal here, a touchdown wins.
Yep.
And, I mean, I don't even know what Matt Ryan was doing, thinking, talking about, but it literally, if you're watching both of these things, you're like, wow, I can turn the game off. There is nothing to see here.
Man, my dad called me. He was at my house, and he called me downstairs. He said, Garrett, go down here. Look at the way these Falcons lost this game.
It was unbelievable.
They throw the ball. Saquon Barkley drops it.
Wide open.
Then the clock stopped on top of it. And then it's like, well, now you got a whole one. And the way Kirk Cousins moved the ball down the field, it was chunk play after chunk play. It was like boom, 15, boom, 22, boom, 30. Hey, let's go ahead and finish these.
And you know what? The Eagles did what we always say, and it probably drives you more crazy than us.
Yeah.
But in the whole, prevent defense prevents you from winning the game. They were giving up chunks of yards, and Kirk he's a veteran. He knows where to go with the football. And he did. He just took 3 big bites of the sandwich, and then he threw the last bite in his mouth.
80 yards.
It was unbelievable.
He almost scored too fast.
Yeah.
I was wondering about that because I'm like, you can't give them any time. And then we saw the
Eagles
interception.
had plenty of time. And the interception was terrible. Yeah. But, I mean,
the interception was bad.
I thought they were coming right down the field and going to win. when they scored and took the lead, it was, 22-21?
Yeah.
I think that's what the score was. Or was it 24-23? I don't know. Something.
A field goal
It was
would've won it.
1-point game. Field goal would have won it. And where'd they get to? Like the 40-yard line or something? 45?
I think so, before the pick.
They were like into Atlanta territory, I think.
Man, that's
I don't know if
pick.
they were yet. I think
Well, whatever. They
close
were
to
they were
midfield.
close to midfield.
But the
And-
interception,
Terrible.
Man, Philly, you talk about a team absolutely imploding. If you go back to week 11 or 12 of last year, they looked unbeatable. And they haven't won much since.
Right.
By the way, on the ManningCast, did anybody watch the first half with Bill Belichick?
Yeah, when he's on, he's really, really, really good.
They've spoiled me forever. They have spoiled me forever because the three of them talking next level football. It was absolutely, God, Belichick is smart.
And it's funny, Jay, our next topic is something that pisses Bill Belichick off a lot.
Really?
And that was silly penalties. Which
Oh!
the Browns have committed quite a few of, and I'm really curious to get some of your guys' takes on how they can clean those up. We'll get into that topic in one sec, but a quick reminder that Game Time is the official online ticket buying app of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. And right now, Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier than before. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. On the Game Time Picks feature, you still get the panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. Plus, with Game Time's ticket guarantee, you're guaranteed to get the most flexible customer service policy in the entire online ticketing industry. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the app, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Once again, create an account on the Game Time app. Redeem code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. And speaking of Game Time, I was doing some digging, and you can take 283 full here. Through 2 weeks of the season, the Browns have been called for 24 penalties. That's most in the NFL. They have 164 penalty yards, fourth in the NFL. Their 6 holding calls ranks first, and from a defensive standpoint, their 4 offsides calls through 2 games also ranks first. Dustin, is it a coaching issue? Is it a player issue? How do you clean up these penalty issues 2 weeks into the season? Discipline? Is it something you can practice? Take us inside the coach's war room, the practice field.
Coaches don't have a problem with aggressive penalties. You know, when you're if it's a pass interference call, if it's a illegal contact, you know, things that happen that you're fine with. But the things that you can't deal with as a coach and as a player really are the pre-snap penalties, the illegal shifts, you know,
Jumping.
you know, false starts. Those are the delay games.
How would you
those just can't
characterize
happen.
the majority of the Browns' penalties this year? Aggressive or dumb?
I mean, listen, you played offensive line, Garrett. I mean, you know how they could call holding like every play. The egregious ones they try to call, but I don't know. I mean, the holding to me, some of it has to do with the fact that you're playing with some backups, you know, and those
We
guys
had a
are.
kicker go past the 50 it cost the Browns a
and you
potential
played against
touchdown.
some really good pass rushers the first couple of games, and I think our line has done a decent job trying to hold up. But I mean, those are tough. The holding calls, offsides, you can't have it. Certainly in certain. Yeah. I mean, you go from 2nd and 10 to 2nd and 5. It's a big deal.
Huge deal.
Yeah, the one that really got me was the offsides. I forget who did it. It was in the it was on the drive.
It was Myles.
Myles had a couple.
Myles,
He had 2 against Jacksonville.
and I think what's the name? Alex Wright had one. And it's 2nd and 18, right? You don't need a good start on your jump on 2nd and 18. No. You don't need to jump the snap on that. It's 18. You know what's coming, right? Like, so when you give those guys 5 yards back and become 2nd and 13, is that still 2nd and long? Yes, but now you give them another down to get more yards or to make it more manageable to get it on 3rd down. And it just didn't make any sense. I think a lot of this comes from this too. I really believe that because those guys didn't play during the preseason and because they didn't play some of the OTAs, our coaches used to tell us conditioning can make cowards out of everybody. Yeah. And meaning that when you are not in game shape, the first thing that goes is your mental capacity to think on the run. Instead of moving your feet, you get lazy and you grab. instead of watching the snap count and getting off on it. Now you're trying to get a little extra advantage instead of understanding where you're supposed to be on your shifts and motions. And when you line up, now the tackle lines up in the backfield because he's sucking air right now and worried about Josh Allen or a pass rusher in front of him. All these different things are things that have to do with your level of conditioning and a level of sharpness. And I think for better or worse, the Browns, for lack of better terms, are a team that looks like they're playing preseason games in certain aspects. Now, it got dramatically better. They always talk about the biggest improvements from week 1 to week 2 for most teams. And they did get better at a lot of places. But I think the penalties are they come down to the fact that guys haven't played around each other. Guys are maybe working themselves into game shape. And that sloppiness comes through at the most inopportune times, especially when your offense or defense is in big-time situations.
And the penalties got worse. They had more penalties. They had 100 yards.
100 yards. 13 penalties, 100 yards.
I don't know how you win a game when you give up 100
You spot a
yards.
team 100 yards.
100. You gave them a length of a field.
Yeah, a lot of times teams like score. They have like 350 yards of total offense a game, and that's like a pretty good number, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Add 100 to it.
You usually don't win. That's why there were a lot of things. I had said this Monday. If you just look at the third down conversions and the penalties,
how do you win? I don't even know how
that's
to win.
an L.
And you score one touchdown.
That's right.
And
that is 100 times
touchdown.
out of 100. That's an L. But not,
What saved them is this. We look at 3 things. Pretty much every team does. Turnovers, special teams, and penalties.
Yeah.
So they had 100 yards of penalties, but the thing that saved them, no turnovers.
Right.
If you get 1 turnover there, you're done. That game's over, you lose. Special teams. They were able to punt and pin them down deep, play complimentary football. That helped them out. But when you're playing good teams and when you're going to get to a point in a year, you can't throw away that many yards because you're not going to beat big teams. You're not going to hold certain quarterbacks to 3 points. They're going to go down and get a touchdown, or you're going to have an opportunity to have a big play, a turnover. That's the most. It makes me sick to my stomach because now I'm almost like conditioned to look for a flag. Mm-hmm. It's like when there's a big run.
I do too. I'm like, where's the flag?
Where's the flag? I'm just waiting for guys like Dustin when he calls the game.
Honestly, man, even when I do games, I big play, I'm like, okay, look back to line of scrimmage.
Yeah,
we had a call in my game on Saturday that was a holding. No, excuse me, it was a touchdown, a long 80-yard touchdown, 70-yard touchdown. Gets called back for legal man downfield. A lineman inconsequential to the play, just kind of like takes an extra step, just kind of like watching the play go down the field. Flag. I'm like, dude, what are we doing?
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Now,
that's ridiculous.
The penalties disrupt the flow of the game. I know they got to make these calls that are egregious, but why every ticky-tack call? It's not aesthetically pleasing to watch.
It's hard to watch. It's hard to watch. I think it was Sunday night's game. So it was, I think, an exclusive window game. And I'm watching it, and I think there were 4 plays in a row where there were penalties. And at some point,
it was the Bears-Texans.
Bears-Texans. That's right.
You know what also sucks, guys?
It's unwatchable. It slows everything down.
The thing that stinks too is that when they call a flag on third down, it's like teams get these bailed out all the time.
Yeah.
Did you guys read the stat this week about how many pass interferences have been called on touchdowns? Let me look this up. It was the Patrick Mahomes. Did I drop that in our chat?
You sent it to us. It was debunked a little bit by Bill Barnwell. Just a heads up.
Okay, can you clean that up for me? Because I didn't fact check it. I just looked at it and I thought, wow, that seems like an unbelievable number to me.
I'm going to read this from Bill Barnwell's thread, and then I want to get back to this because I do have a question. So the number was he's thrown 18 interceptions since 2018 that have been called back via penalty.
Okay.
Most in the league.
That seems like a lot.
Mm-hmm.
He has thrown 3,608 pass attempts since 2018. By far the most in football. Only one quarterback's within 300. So most attempts, most interceptions. He also leads the NFL since 2018, according to Bill Barnwell, in passes completed for exactly 13 yards, yards on slants, and another completely irrelevant slant, which is yak gained on screens thrown 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage. So Barnwell says, no surprise that he also leads the league in overturned INTs. When you look at the penalties that were called on his interceptions. 8 of those 17, so just under 50, were on offsides calls, where Mahomes just threw it up free play.
Yeah.
So 8 of 17.
That's just being smart, though. You're just rolling the dice when you know you've got a free play. Aaron Rodgers does that all the time.
Yep. So there's 8 others that were there was a defensive penalty, defensive pass interference, roughing the passer, illegal contact, excuse me. So 8 of 3,608 pass attempts have been called back for penalties during the play.
Yeah.
Which is a Minimowski percentage.
It is.
So
small.
it looks cool in a tweet.
Yeah.
When you actually break it down, it's not nearly as...
To your question, Mike, about the penalties, and I'm glad you brought up Belichick, because when I was listening to Belichick, I just remember thinking to myself, his teams were generally clean. His teams didn't
That was a
commit
mantra, yeah.
a lot of penalties.
Don't beat yourself was his
Don't
thing.
kill us with your stupidity. And it was interesting because on the touchdown to, was it Drake London? I'm trying to think, it was early when he was on. There was a touchdown.
Oh, and he did the machine gun thing?
And he did the machine gun and got penalized, and you could just hear the disgust.
They had to kick like a 55-yard PAT.
For the extra point.
Yeah.
And you could hear him say, you could hear it in his voice how he has zero tolerance for it. And I wonder if there's any cause and effect between clean teams that are coached by guys that just drill into their heads, this is not going to be tolerated. You're going to be on the bench. And teams that have high penalties, and they've got a super nice head coach like Kevin Stefanski, and there doesn't seem to be any ramifications for one dumb penalty after another.
Hey, guys, I didn't see it in the college level. Like the machine gun celebrations, they have a memo. They're not letting you get that off, bro.
Nor should they.
They're not letting you get that off, dog. Like, I see in college, people is pulling out the Yosemite Sams, bro. They is like, listen, no, we're not. And by the way, it takes a little bit longer for the refs in the culture to pick up what you're doing.
Sure.
And then somebody was like, oh, so that's what they're doing. That's what that celebration means. Nope. We're not letting you get.
I mean, I think that's like I think it's way worse than the
I do too.
Remember when we
the
was
throat slash people?
The throat slash
was like, oh my god, they did the throat slash.
The throat slash was prevalent, like 2000 and 2005.
Well, not anymore.
Not anymore. They was
all
like,
it meant was done.
Yeah, you're finished. There's like
done.
No. I'm like, man, what happened to the Second Amendment? I just want to shoot my machine gun in the stadium. No. we
don't need that.
Leave it to G. Bush. I told you to stop slipping politics. I'm just joking.
Man, Anthony Richardson couldn't even go by AR-15 anymore.
No, he's out of here. Don't bump stocks. No.
As you guys were talking, I just looked something up. Since Stefanski took over as the head coach of the Browns in 2020, this is where the Browns have ranked in total team penalties each of the last 4
Dying to
seasons.
hear this.
This is actually, I didn't know this before. I just looked this up, and I'm curious.
I'm glad you did, because I wondered.
So in 2020, Stefanski's first year, they finished 8th with 100 penalties in the season. The
8th
Cardinals,
worst or 8th best?
The 8th most. So
8th most.
These are in terms of most penalties.
Okay.
8th
So
most.
that's the top 25%.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the Cardinals had 113 in 2020. That was the most. The Browns had the 8th most with 100. In 2021, the Cowboys led the NFL with 127 penalties. The Browns were 7th with 112.
Again, top 25%.
2022, the Cardinals, 118 penalties. Again, the Browns, let me just do my math. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They finished 11th, 102.
Okay.
2023.
So top 33%.
They finished 3rd with 115 penalties.
Wow.
Tied for second, technically, actually. The Jets had 124. The Cowboys and Browns both at 115.
Who had the most? 124?
The Jets. And then this year, through 2 weeks of the season, very early,
okay,
the Browns have 24. The Steelers are second with 19.
What do you guys make of this? Because to me, that's a large enough sample size. That's 5 years. It's 4+ seasons. And
11th is the lowest they've been in
they've
terms of total.
They've been in the worst 33% for all of the seasons. And for 3 of those, they were in the top 25 worst percentage.
Correct.
That, to me, is, once can happen, twice is a trend, 3 times is a problem, right?
Right.
That needs to be cleaned up, because it's going to end up costing them a game or 2 at some point in the season because of a stupid penalty.
I'll say this. I don't think that Stefanski's not coaching it or it doesn't bother him. Clearly it does. I mean, no coach wants to give up free yards and put yourself in a position to all of a sudden not get off the field because of a penalty or you keep a drive alive for the opposition. I mean, he wants the team to be more disciplined, but I also think that there are certain coaches that just aren't as mean, aren't as whatever, like don't get on you as much about a penalty. And like, can you imagine playing for Bill Belichick and jumping off sides?
The fear of God is
petrified.
in you.
Dude, I have a buddy of mine who played for Belichick in New England, and he was a punt returner, and he had some struggles, right, with the punt returns, and like they benched him and didn't talk to him.
Yeah,
Like
they isolate you.
like walk down the hallway and like people like turn their like you know how the baseball players do when a guy gets a home run, they just turn. That's what they did to this kid who I know, and I'm like, damn, man, that's why everyone's scared walking around that building.
See, now I think I've talked about this on the show before. I worked for the Patriots for the year they lost Super Bowl, the Eagles. I did their offseason.
05.
Yeah, no,
05.
17. That was the Nick
17.
Foles year.
Oh,
yeah, that year.
Well, they did lose to the Patriots in 05.
Yeah, Patriots lost the Super Bowl to the Eagles in Minneapolis, and I had a chance to work that entire offseason with their digital network, hosting. They did a 24-hour network. It was crazy what they did. But I mostly did it because I wanted to see the inner workings of the Patriots. Like, what makes this the best organization in football? And it was funny. I got to know a lot of people in management really, really well. And I asked a million questions. Every night at dinner, I was asking questions. They were probably glad the thing was over because they didn't have to answer my questions anymore. But the one thing I asked about is the level of expectation. Because that's the one thing I noticed right away was we don't have anybody in our organization at any position. I don't care what it is. The guy that stripes our fields in practice, he's the best in the business. I'm like, what?
Best striper.
How do you even determine that? But what everybody said, and it emanates from Kraft, not from Belichick.
Right.
Mr. Kraft has a way that he wants things done. And not necessarily in specifics, but in results. And if he doesn't see results, it's a results-oriented business. God, more than anything else, perhaps, there's a scoreboard. And if you're not up to the organization standards, before they just kick you to the curb, maybe it'll be on Christmas Eve. Bill's done that.
Yeah.
Before he does that, there is a process that they go through of isolation. And more than anything else, I want to see how this person reacts. Are they mentally tough enough to handle our level of expectations and our commitment to winning? And one of the ways they would do that, it almost sounds like waterboarding, but you're exactly right. You're persona non grata. You're there. You're taking up space.
You're not part of us.
But you're not us. And now you have to prove, with the pressure of the entire organization looking at you.
It's like a fraternity, man. They're like
It's
like hazing or something.
A cult. It's almost like a cult.
That is, some would call that mental abuse, but some would call it that's just how football goes.
And listen, there wasn't
right
now. I'm sure there were people in the organization that were like, "Man, this isn't for me." We've heard guys leave the Patriots and say,
"I can't do it.
That's not fun." And then we've also heard, and Vrabel was big on this. Vrabel, guys that I worked with at ESPN, Teddy Bruschi was probably the leader of the club. Anybody that had anything negative to say about their time with the Patriots was soft, weak, and didn't belong there. And so that mental test that they exert on you, particularly when you're not doing well, that's the final test.
Think about it.
If you fail, you're gone, and they don't care that you're gone.
That's how Randy Moss got his career back. Like, people don't understand. Before Randy Moss got to, like, he was known as, like, he went for I think he was at the 49ers.
Oakland,
and then the Patriots picked him up, and people thought that Randy Moss wasn't going to last. They're like, oh, Randy, he ain't going to do this. He's not going to be able to stand. And all of a sudden, he got in there with Brady and Belichick. And not only did he stand it, he thrived in it.
They rewrote the offensive record book.
And it was just different. If I was the Browns, what I would do is this. And I always hated doing this, Dustin. I don't know how you feel about it. As a player, when you make a penalty, and after you make that penalty, the coach says, "Come out." That's the most embarrassing thing in the world.
It is.
Because you got to run across the field Everyone knows that you made that mistake.
It's a walk of shame.
And it's definitely
But
a walk of
do
shame.
you do that with Myles Garrett if he jumps off sides on 3rd and inches?
Watch this.
Inside the 10 with the game on the line? You can't.
That's how you know. Listen, that's how you know if you're about that life or not.
All right, okay.
If you're about
Listen,
that,
I like it.
If you're about that life and your center is holding,
No players above the team.
hey, come on out. Hey, Ethan, Nick Harris, go in. I got you. And if it's egregious enough, you're done for the series.
Justin, would that cut down on penalties?
Yeah, I mean, I think the embarrassment of that would certainly have an impact on the players, and the other players would see it and
be like,
deter you from losing focus. And that's all it is. These pre-snap penalties are it's focus. It's not.
Now, sometimes there's good penalties too. Like there were off or holding penalties where if the lineman is doing the mental gymnastics quickly enough, and he's saying, "Oh my God, I'm beat badly," and my quarterback
protect your quarterback.
He has his blind side exposed. It's worth the 10 yards sometimes to reach out and grab him just to keep your quarterback alive.
100%.
But in most cases, it kills the team.
Greg Popovich used to say this. He said, Tim Duncan was like his best player. And he said, if you're able to hold your best player accountable, then none of the other subordinates even think about doing it. Because if Tim Duncan come here, Tim, and he's cussing Tim Duncan out. What the heck is Tony Parker about to get?
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
All of it.
Hey, Mike, I'm just out of curiosity. Over the last 5 years, I know you had the info up on the most penalized teams. Is there a team that's the good version of what we are? So, in other words, over the last 5 years, they've been amongst the least penalized teams in the league.
I'll
year
run
in and
through
year
it
out.
real quick.
Yeah.
2020, the Patriots, least penalized team in the league. The Rams were the second least.
Oh, and look at the success of those teams
Didn't they go
in
to
that year.
Didn't they go to the Super Bowl?
2021, the Rams were third least penalized.
Interesting.
Patriots, bottom 10. I'm not going to count because we have John getting ready. But they're near the bottom of the list.
When you say bottom, least penalized.
Least penalized.
Okay.
Rams, second least penalized in 22. So the Rams, real quick,
so
jumping out.
there is a thread here, a trend, that the Rams are one of the most disciplined teams in the
All
league.
4 years that we've tracked,
Yeah.
2020 through 2023, the Rams have been in the lower end of the bottom 10. So
Okay,
between
so that's interesting.
22nd, 32nd. Last thing real quick, I saw in the chat, someone asked me for the full breakdown of the Browns penalties so far.
Yeah.
This is the 24 that I can tell you according to Football Database, which tracks this. 24 penalties leads the league. They have 2 false starts, 6 offensive holding calls, which is the most in football, 4 offsides calls from a defensive standpoint. That's the most in football. 2 defensive holdings, and then 10 in the other category. I don't know exactly what it is. They don't break it down any further.
Sure.
But offsides holding the Browns.
Well, we've had a
first and
procedure.
second.
I know we've had one procedure.
Yeah.
I don't know what the.
It's
I guess it would be,
illegal motion falls into that.
Right,
so
right.
It's all the above.
And then I think the Dustin Hopkins penalty was an offsides.
No, that was considered a legal procedure because he crossed.
Oh, I
yeah.
thought they
So
called
that doesn't fall
offsides on the
into
kicker,
offsides.
so illegal
No.
procedure. Okay.
That's a great conversation. And we're going to bring in someone else who's going to help us elevate our next conversation after a quick word from DoorDash. Guys, if you're looking to watch a Browns game, you can't watch it from the home unless you have the right snacks and the right drinks. And DoorDash makes having the perfect game day feast a reality just by clicking a few buttons on your phone. DoorDash is an incredible company that makes turning your ordinary tailgate into an extraordinary adventure on your couch while you're watching the game. And right now, they're helping you do it for a little bit cheaper. If you use promo code LOCKEDFALL24, you can get up to 50% off, up to a $10 value when you spend $15 on your first order. It is a limited time offer. Terms apply. Promo code is not valid for orders that contain alcohol. DoorDash, your door to game day greatness, your door to more. Download the DoorDash app now. For all your game day favorites, you must be 21 or older, to order alcohol. Drink responsibly. Alcohol available only in select states. Before we bring in John Fanta, in case you missed it, this was John Fanta after the Browns lost to the Cowboys. And we're going to see how John's feeling after the win against the Jaguars. But this was John after the loss to Dallas.
The thing that's nice right now is the sun that's shining. It shouldn't be. That was utterly embarrassing, pathetic, disgraceful, shameful. You gave that guy under center $230 million fully guaranteed. $230 million fully guaranteed. He's not great. He's not good. He's not even average. Right now, I put him on par with Bryce Young or Daniel Jones. He can go stand in line with them. Rip the Band-Aid off before it's too late, because the rest of that locker room knows it. Deshaun Watson's done. That first half against Dallas was an utter joke. I'm tired of hearing about rust. I'm tired of hearing excuses. I'm tired of hearing that the two-time NFL Coach of the Year, it's all his fault. Folks, he can't play. It ain't happening. Accept reality. I'm ticked.
There's a little joker in that.
And there he is, Johnny Fanta. John, how you doing today?
Angry Fanta. I love it, John.
What's
I
up,
love
buddy?
it.
What's up, man?
What's happening, guys? It's good to see you all. It's great to be on. Dustin, it's good to see you
Good to
as
see
well.
you too, Johnny.
I talked with you over the weekend, Jay. It's
Sure
always
did.
great to see you.
Hey, John, thanks. God, we've all been there, first of all. We've all been exactly where you were. And there's been probably 7,650 times since social media has existed that I've wanted to grab my phone and do exactly what you did. I'm guessing that there was a process before you hit send where you asked yourself, is this exactly what I want to do? Take me through that sort of that push-pull that you were thinking about before you sent it.
There was no push-pull, Jay. I went out in my backyard and I spoke what I thought was the truth. Now, look, I don't cover the Browns for a living. So, I got a couple of texts saying, how are the Browns going to feel about this? Look, I'm just going to say this. I believe the Cleveland Browns will continue. We all know will be around a lot longer than Deshaun Watson will be their quarterback. And I'll be honest with you right now. This past Sunday didn't change a lot of how I feel about Deshaun Watson. So I believe that sometimes, even when you're upset with something or when you're angry with something, and you guys have plenty of honest conversation on your show, and I expect to get counterpunched here, and I like that. I think sometimes you have to tell it like it is. And the reason why I went on that rant is because I am so tired, and I think all three of you are too, with the stale, national, same old Browns takes. I've seen the last week people on X or on social media, this whole meme, Mike, you've probably seen this. If you guys haven't, if Disney's the happiest place on earth, name the saddest. And I've seen some people say, Cleveland Browns Stadium, now Huntington Bank Field. Not anymore. It's not supposed to be anymore. The same old Browns are supposed to be gone. This franchise has gone to the postseason 2 of the last 4 years. My standards, our standards, when you're paying number 4, the money that you're paying are not for Joe Flacco or Baker Mayfield or anybody before him. The standards are to win the Super Bowl now. Or at least that was what was supposed to be. And I think that my energy there was, we're not even at that level right now in week 1. Week 2, did we see some better signs? Yes, we did. But you could still say that we saw better signs and that there's still more that we've got to see for us to be convinced that this guy's the answer. He's still far from the answer in my book. And when you pay the kind of money the Cleveland Browns paid for him, that shouldn't even remotely be a question.
John, when you watch the game, now, I think one of the things that happened in the first game, I think everybody named Mom felt that way. I thought even if you are a Deshaun Watson, the hardest and the biggest proponent and the biggest fan of Deshaun Watson, you couldn't find nobody in the Eastern Hemisphere that said, "Oh, this is it. This is what we're doing." People was like, "Listen, we're going to have to figure this out because this is if we go to Jacksonville." People was literally talking about if Jameis Winston is getting his arm warmed up because of the way Deshaun Watson looked. Obviously, he comes into Jacksonville game. You talked about it. He looks better. He looked better in the Jacksonville game. When you say, obviously, you're thinking about it in terms of, is this guy going to be worth the $230 or is he going to take us to the Super Bowl? There's a lot left to be desired for us to start saying that. But what are some things that you thought immediately after the Jacksonville game when you saw that game?
Well, what I immediately thought was if Ken Dorsey were at a Waffle House in Jacksonville or up in Buffalo that day doing some fishing, you wouldn't have known the difference. Kevin Stefanski took back his playbook. Kevin Stefanski took his team back. Kevin Stefanski said, I'm better than week 1. We're better than this, and we need to be better than this. Teams that start 0-2 do not get anywhere in the National Football League most of the time. The Cincinnati Bengals are going to go somewhere. Hot take or not, I still like what I saw from Cincinnati in week 2, even though they lost the game, more than I've liked what I've seen collectively from this Browns offense. The fact is that there's a reason why they scored one touchdown this past week, and that is because Kevin Stefanski had a script on the opening drive that was his old ground and pound, jumbo sets. We're going to just out-physical you, out-muscle you. We're going to wear you down with long drives that produce touchdowns eventually, or hopefully do. And I give Deshaun credit for setting the tone and putting doubters away there on that opening drive. It was a sharp opening drive. They come out like that this week against the Giants at home. They're going to be a winning football team on Sunday. There's no doubt in my mind. But that was Stefanski. That was Kevin Stefanski having his team much more prepared. It did confirm what we all thought, that the team was not prepared to play week 1, that the preseason was not managed correctly, but it was Jim Schwartz's defense too. I thought Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah took week 1 personally, and it was reflected in the way that he played in week 2. Myles Garrett causes so many problems, and Alex Wright delivered the play of the game. But Owusu-Koramoah, guys, was all over the field. 7 tackles, 2 for a loss, as we could see. It was more than that, though. He was the leader. He was the alpha. He delivered. The defense stepped up on the road. That's a great step for them. The offense, when people say, what happened between the first half and the second half? I think it's the latest case of, under Kevin Stefanski, the Browns have been one of the best opening drive teams in the league throughout his tenure. They come out and they punch you. They have a quality first drive more times than they do not in his tenure. It's as a game goes on where, let's face it, in the moment, players got to make plays. I thought Watson made a couple of big plays. There's no question. He found Jerry Jeudy a couple of times that made me say, all right, that's progress. That's material progress. But this is a scoring league. And the Browns were a playoff team a year ago. They're supposed to be one of the NFL's best teams now. At least that's my expectation for them. I don't know about you guys. I haven't seen that click yet. I'm hoping against an inferior opponent, against a very weak, a New York Giants team that's going to fire their coach by season's end, in my humble opinion. I think the end is near for Brian Daboll. The Cleveland Browns need to come out this Sunday and score at least 2 touchdowns. I hope 3 or 4. Get this offense going.
Fancy, you know my new partner, Matt Schumacher?
Love him. Great friend and an awesome guy.
He was, I love him too, and he was raving about you because I'm like, dude, I know Fanta. He comes on my show all the time. So,
yeah,
small world.
Dude.
Small world.
You guys are crushing it.
Yeah, man, I appreciate that. I'm just trying to be you. I mean, we're just trying to be some John Fanta here. I mean, you're a rock star.
John,
Wait, can I ask John a question?
Yeah, go ahead, Mike. Go ahead.
Real quick, John. We started this interview with your rant.
I was just being nice, you know.
Medals.
Yeah, that's cool.
About Bill Belichick responding to your rant. John, when you saw Bill Belichick commenting on your rant, how'd you feel knowing that you made it to the highest levels of NFL media with Bill Belichick being the one to comment on that?
You guys all know this. I appreciate the question, Mike, but my dad always said, well, when I was growing up, a Browns receiver would score a touchdown. For some reason, Josh Gordon pops in my head, all right? And I think he scored a touchdown in Oakland one time, and my dad blurted out, because Gordon's going crazy, the Browns are going crazy, they like cut the lead to 3. My dad blurts out from the couch, act like you've been there before. And I turn around to my dad and I go, Dad, he hasn't. And we haven't. So to know what it feels like, we truthfully don't. Those were some dark years growing up watching Cleveland Browns football. You know what? Doing this job, and you guys all do it on a daily basis, of course we say a lot of things and do a lot of things. Certain things get picked up more than others. I didn't know that this rant would take off to the degree that it did. I spoke my mind. and what I thought. I love the Cleveland Browns. I love all of our Cleveland sports teams. I'm a Clevelander. That was my passion speaking out because I think the Browns standards have been raised. What did it feel like? It's very humbling and obviously pretty cool. I mean, I would have never been able to predict. If I had told you guys 2 years ago, if any of us were talking and we would have been like, yeah, Bill Belichick's going to react to a rant from my behind after a week 1 NFL game, I would have been like, what happened in the world? What planet are we on? And how is Bill Belichick on the sidelines coaching? So
Right.
Yeah.
it's very humbling, and thank you for saying that.
All right, John. So looking at that game this past Sunday and the offense, you said it. They scored 1 touchdown in the game. Deshaun did some nice things, but, threw for $180, which is fine, and they won the game. That's great. Can they win like that all year? I mean, can they be a playoff team? Can they win in the playoffs like this?
No. 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 The answer to that question is a flat-out no. They're going to win this week. Go ahead. I'll come back next week and apologize, but we'll have bigger problems than any apology. And then the following week, I think I've seen some narratives out there from some people that have covered the Browns for a long time that, they believed in 4-1 for this team. Did everybody forget that the Raiders went into Baltimore and beat the Ravens?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not chalking this week up.
Yeah.
I ain't chalking this week up. Forget the.
I'll listen to this week, but John's exactly right. I keep hearing one Brown fan after another saying, oh, okay, so we got the Giants, then we got the Raiders, then we got the Commanders. So, when we move to 4-1, I'm like, whoa. Don't put anything in the bank. This is the NFL. The Eagles lost at home to a team they should have knocked out of the building.
So here's my take on this situation, and you guys can come back at me for this. Absolutely. I think that what we're going to see, or what we hope, here's the best case scenario for the Browns this year, right? The best case scenario, still in my mind, is that they build a cushion up here of some sort. I think they're going to be 3-2 through 5 games because I just think that the Giants and Washington cannot move the football against the Browns defense.
Right.
I think New York is going to have a ton of trouble. The stadium will be juiced again on Sunday. They're coming off a win. I see the weather. It looks great down there. It's going to have a real vibe and feel to it here in week 3. Week 4 is going to be hard. But then look at this stretch. Even look, the Chargers now look like a top 10 team in the league. And they have the bye, and then they have the Saints. They're in week 11. The Saints now look like a team. That's going to be the Browns are going to be an underdog in that game in New Orleans, and they would be right now. They have had a ton of trouble in Denver. I guess my thought is this: after week 1, we had some takes, and the Dolphins game does change now, week 17, for what it is worth. And the Browns did win in Baltimore last year, but we all know that's not easy. I think that my thought process is this. I'm not in the class that Deshaun Watson is going to just recover this magic and be an amazing quarterback. And I hope that I am wrong and eating my words. But in the NFL, guys, we don't see a quarterback have this in-season seismic growth from like back half of the league to all of a sudden like top 10. I just don't think that he's going to be that way. Now, can he turn 180 into 240 or 250 or 260? I'd like to see it. But between some of the mistakes still being made, he's a bottom 10 quarterback in this league. The Browns don't need a top 10 quarterback, but they do need a guy that they can rely upon that gives them a chance with all of his weapons and with Nick Chubb coming back. A good leader, a top 15-ish quarterback in the NFL that gives them a chance to win against the good football teams. I do believe that Jameis Winston is capable of that. I do believe that he is capable of that. I'm not ready to believe, because here's the thing. Kevin Stefanski made a guy that Jet fans, my Jet buddies, were laughing at us when we picked up Joe Flacco last year. They said, why would you do that? If Kevin Stefanski could turn water into wine with Joe Flacco,
yeah, that's a good point.
Why can't he do it with the guy who went 5-2 down the stretch with New Orleans a year ago?
No,
I think
that's a great
Browns
point.
Be 3-2 through 5. I think Watson could have a reality check against the Eagles defense. I'm just going to be honest. I really do think that that's possible. I something in my head says he's not making it through the 8th game of this season. I hope to God I'm wrong. I hope he pans out, but I can't get past what I'm watching, what my eyes are seeing, and I think for the Browns, I just hope that they build some sort of a 3-2, 4-1 would be great, so that when they have to rip this Band-Aid off, it's not too late.
I love your point about what Stefanski was able to do with Joe Flacco, and just imagine what he can do with a better chunk of clay in Jameis Winston, who is younger, has a stronger arm, and has been successful in this league. Not quite to the point that Joe Flacco in winning a Super Bowl, but I like that point. I think it's dead on.
Jay, I want to bring this point up that I talked to G. Bush about over the weekend, and Dustin, I'd even want to get your thought process with this too, and it might lead to a bigger discussion on your show. Maybe I'm going to set off the igniter here. For all the people that criticize Stefanski and don't like him, you could disagree with certain things the coach does. Of course you can. We're all fans. Or if you're not a fan, you're a media member, you can disagree with a coach. It's part of the job. It's part of what we do. We analyze everything. But I can tell you this much. If Kevin Stefanski, if right now in NFL circles, Stefanski's agent just sent a little dribble out there and said, would you guys ever be interested in Kevin Stefanski as a head coach of your team? I guarantee you right now, there would be a giant eagle deli line of people.
You're right.
Like a Saturday morning, right? Mm-hmm. On the west or east side, there'd be people taking numbers to talk to a guy who made the Cleveland Browns a winner.
Absolutely. He's made the playoffs twice in 4 years, and neither time Deshaun Watson was the quarterback. And he's done it with guys that no one expected he could do it with. John, Shaun King is in the wings, and we can't wait to hear what he has to say about the growth in Deshaun Watson from week 1 to week 2. You may want to stick by and listen to that. We always appreciate your thoughts. I happen to love Angry Fanta, and I hope I get to see more of it. It was fun to watch. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, guys. Anytime. I hope I'm not angry at all. I want us all to be happy. But, hey, one last thing. I know you all can't wait. I can't wait for October baseball. At the end of the day, it's a pretty damn good time in Cleveland sports, everybody.
You aren't kidding. Yeah, we cannot wait. Magic number is, what is it now, 7, I think?
Yeah.
So
6.
It's, okay, it could happen any day now. And, yeah, we can't wait. We are extremely excited for October baseball. John, thanks. We'll probably have you on sometime in October to talk Guardians, if that's okay.
Best show in Cleveland. Love what you guys are doing. Thanks for having me.
That's a huge endorsement from not just a great guy, but a terrific broadcaster.
Love me some
really,
John
really,
Fanta,
really
man.
good.
Johnny Fanta
Rising star
is
is
the
going to be
best.
around
He's
for a
the
long
best.
time.
Oh.
It's the best. We're going to bring in Shaun King after a quick word here from FanDuel. You guys have heard us talk about FanDuel a lot. It is America's #1 sportsbook. We all have something a little different for you guys on FanDuel right now. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then with the YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime you want. Just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to download America's #1 sportsbook. And with that, we are thrilled to welcome in Shaun King, his second week on the show, to help us break down and understand a little bit about Deshaun Watson's performance against the Jags on a more enlightened level. What's up, Shaun?
We need your mic. Hit your mic.
No, we're getting audio. You got to turn it on, Ant.
Oh.
It's on our bad.
Shaun,
it's our bad, Shaun.
You're good. Hold on. We got a new director today. Ant's never live cut. Now try,
Can you hear
Shaun.
me?
Yeah,
There
we
he
go.
is.
It was on us. It was on us, not you.
Hey.
That's us.
Hey, man, look, I ain't happy. I'm supposed to be on at 9 o'clock. It's 9:08. Listen, I'm finna play the angry analyst. John Fanta want to be the angry fan. Don't ever bring me on after him again. He got a whole damn bottle of hair gel in his hair, and put him on a word count next time. Good God almighty. I'm over here all by myself trying to answer talk. Y'all ain't got my mic on, man. Get your stuff together. Mike Lucas.
Sean, we're a mess. We're a mess. I'm sorry for everybody. I apologize for all of us.
I don't. I did it on purpose, Sean.
At UCSS. Hey, Sean, you know what was not a mess was the Browns on Sunday as opposed to the previous week against the Dallas Cowboys, which we talked about last week quite a bit, and you kept it real, right, on Cleveland. So this past weekend, things turned around a little bit. I mean, it wasn't the best performance. They only scored one touchdown. But overall, they won the game, which is, at the end of the day, all that matters. What was your overall thoughts on the game?
First of all, good to see you, Dustin. Good to see you, G. Bush.
Good to
My
see
guy,
you.
Jay Crawford. Always great having an opportunity to chat with you guys. I like to put context because we're going to do this weekly. And so when I come on, I'm going to evaluate Deshaun Watson, but I'm also going to act like I'm his coach. I was very fortunate enough at University of South Florida to coach Quentin Flowers to the American Athletic Conference Player of the Year. I recruited and coached Chris Oladokun, who's the backup to Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City, and Ray McLeod's brother, Jordan McLeod, who's a starting quarterback at Texas State right now. And we believed in one thing: the truth does not have emotions. It's just the truth. So when I evaluate Deshaun from week to week, and we're going to operate on one platform, and that's truth, right? So I'm going to give him a solid C+ for the performance. And here's why. It's the best performance I've seen with him at quarterback of the Cleveland Browns, but it's still an isolated scenario. If we can get this consistently, then I think because of the level of defense plays at, because of the special teams, Cleveland's got a chance to be really successful.
It's funny, I gave him a C+ too, but I'm interested in your thoughts on where we go from here, because John Fanta was just on. He made a statement, and I agree with it. 186 is mid. I mean, we can't have that week in and week out. And I know we've got a great defense, but there's going to come a time we play Kansas City. We've got some tough games on our schedule down the road where 18 points won't even be close to enough. So where is your bar for him? Because everybody, when we came here, it was like he's going to win a Super Bowl. Now some people are saying, hey, 186, man, that can get it done. It can't.
Well, first of all, what we can't do, because this is the smartest football show in the country, not just because Jay Crawford's on it. It's hard to win a damn game.
It's because Shaun King's on it.
Hey, Dustin will tell you, it's hard to win a game in the National Football League. Go ask the Bengals and the Ravens. Go ask the whole damn AFC South outside of Houston. There are no easy Sundays. If you don't show up with your A game, you have a high chance of losing. This was complimentary football. I think what you saw, and I think Fanta mentioned it in the previous segment, you saw a team that looked like this should have been their week one performance. For some reason, and this is a whole nother topic, but the NFL chooses not to utilize the 3 preseason games to get in rhythm and get ready for the start of the season. I think the Browns are better in every area. As far as Deshaun Watson and his production, look around the league. Hell, everybody look like they're throwing with the opposite hand right now. Passing yards are down. Touchdown passes are down. It's a hard league right now. The defensive line is athletic as they've ever been. And I'm going to say one thing, and people got to stop talking about Deshaun Watson's contract. When you look at what Tua and Trevor Lawrence and all these guys just signed for on average, he's actually got a bargain deal because he's more talented than Tua. He's more talented than Trevor Lawrence. He's more talented than a lot of these guys that just got paid. He's got to put consistent performance on the field. I think Jacksonville was a huge step in the right direction.
Sean, I'm looking at it, and when you take a look at what he did, and I love the fact that you brought up that you've been coaching the quarterback position, and so you're into the psyche, the directives that you're given in certain games. I look at it because I like the game that he played against Jacksonville, because you take a look at that game. It's rainy. Your defense is playing lights out. You want to play complementary football. You take a look at that 100 yards and penalty yards. So if you got that going on, then you have to win the turnover battle, and you cannot turn the football over, and you have to play good special teams. I thought throw for throw, I thought he was more accurate than the first week. And if you are a quarterback coach talking to Deshaun Watson, what are you telling him in this game specifically that he needs to do to win this football game in the way he played?
I thought his composure was much better than in week one. I thought his energy was much better than week one. I thought his decision-making overall was improved. As you mentioned, the most drastic improvement was ball location. And you think, guys, he did this playing 10 versus 11. Because if anybody has seen Mari Cooper, please tell him the season has started. Because he is not joining the Browns as of the first 2 weeks. And nobody's talking about that. So I think I can build upon Deshaun's performance. He did some things that are special from a pocket mobility standpoint that other guys can't do. And so when you start to rank the quarterbacks in the National Football League, the first thing you have to do is who has the talent to be elite. Deshaun has that talent. I thought he showcased it at times. The thing that I was most impressed with, everything he did was in rhythm. It looked like he had a great understanding of what Jacksonville was doing versus them defensively. He was getting the ball out on time. He was accurate with his decisions. As you mentioned, throwing the ball when it's raining is not easy. I'm telling you, being a productive quarterback when your number one wide receiver is absentee, it's not easy. Being the number one quarterback when the running game, it was better, but it still wasn't Nick Chubb level. So there are some things around him that have to get better. But this was the first time I thought Deshaun looked like he was fully in control of what the game plan was.
Shaun, one thing really jumped out at me in game one, and it was jumped out in game two, and there wasn't any improvement. I could practically hear Clyde Christensen and Tony Dungy screaming at your offense back in the day when you were with the Buccaneers about how important third down is. You win on third down. The Browns were 2 of 15 against the Cowboys on third down. They were 2 of 14 against Jacksonville on third down. What are you seeing on third down that has this team constantly punting the football away?
Well, third now you break into third and short, third and medium, third and long.
Right.
So third and short, their issue is right now they aren't controlling the line of scrimmage. So you can, in third and 2 or less, just automatically turn around, hand the ball off, and guarantee you're going to get it. That's the first and most easily fixable part of third and short. Third and long, the penalties. They had a couple penalties in crucial situations that put them in unmanageable third down. So if you put those two things in context, in reality, it probably wasn't as bad as 2 and 14. I know that's what the numbers are, and as Bill Parcells said, you are what the numbers say you are. But they got to get a little more creative, in my opinion, in third and medium, which is 3rd and 4 to 6. I think you got to have a better mixture of screen game, of play action pass, of intermediate pass game, and be willing to take some shots. The one thing that is missing right now from the passing game is more of an aggressive approach. And maybe that was the weather. Maybe it's the fact that they don't really have elite top-end speed at receiver. Maybe it's the fact that Njoku wasn't available. But as we're moving forward and we're figuring out how it can grow, I think that's some of the ways that you can fix third down.
Yeah, that pass chart tells the story. The blue is the line of scrimmage. Look at all of the – if we can go back to that, I'm sorry, Ant. Look at all of the passes that were thrown behind the line of scrimmage. And even when he was looking downfield, only twice did he throw the ball more than 13 yards downfield. I hope I'm wrong here, but I can't help but question, because we haven't seen it, his arm. He's coming off the surgery. They say he's 100%. His one throw downfield was nowhere near being accurate enough. And until I see him go downfield with some consistency, I still have questions about the arm.
Dustin will tell you this. I don't think it's an arm thing. I think they lack explosiveness at receiver. If you're covering Amari Cooper, you're not really worried about Amari Cooper running by you.
True.
Like,
Jerry
they don't
Jeudy
really use Jerry Jeudy. Yeah, but they don't really use him in the vertical passing game. I know he had the play action corner ball that he completed. I think it was the fourth quarter when that happened. But who's the explosive down the field guy?
No.
Like in that chart you put up, Jay, every defense they're going to play is looking at that chart. And those corners are going to get tighter and tighter. They're going to say, you know what, we can sit on the short, the intermediate passing game. And so it falls on Ken Dorsey and John Fanta's I mean,
got him.
Y'all didn't know he was a mole for Stefanski. I mean, come on, man. Not only keep Stefanski's job in Cleveland, but get him another one if he loses this one.
He's not wrong though, Sean.
Oh, y'all crazy.
I mean, the guy's been two times NFL Coach of the Year in 4 seasons. If he did decide he wanted to leave Cleveland, or Cleveland decided they were done with him, there would be a line for him.
I don't know about that one, Jay, but hey, that's an argument for another day.
Wow, that's a hot take.
I mean, outside of Cleveland, he's called Kevin Too Fancy. It's not Stefanski.
I didn't know that. Kevin
name.
Too Fancy.
He's called Kevin Too Fancy. Yeah, it gets drawing up. He got his little.
I've never heard that. I kind of like it.
Plays.
Yeah, that's kind of work.
But again, it comes down to the play caller to be more aggressive, like call some double move shots, but also be methodical in how you attack teams. I'm going to break down some stuff visually, and sorry that we can't put the film on because there's some interesting things I wanted to show. I've been an OC before. I was an OC at IMG when J.J. McCarthy was my quarterback. And what I would tell him is, I'll be as aggressive as you allow me to be.
Oh, wow.
Meaning that when I call an explosive play, if it's not there, you got to find me a completion. I'll have built-in components, whether it's the back chipping out the backfield, whether it's a tight end coming on a shallow cross. I've got to be able to trust you when I call a deep shot not to just automatically throw it if it's not open. So maybe it's a trust issue, but it's something they have to develop. You have to scare teams vertically in this league.
Sean, I'm going to try to stall for a little time here because I want to just give you, we just had that passing chart by Deshaun Watson, and we talk about all the underneath passes and nothing over the line of scrimmage. But what I was able to do, I knew it was coming. I saw it coming a mile away. So what I did is I had some pre-prep ready to go. And what I wanted to present to you is Exhibit B. I got it. Patrick Mahomes. I just happened to find his chart. It was laying around the internet. And if you compare the two charts, I'd say that I like Deshaun Watson's chart better than I even like Patrick Mahomes' chart. And one of the things that you're getting to around the league is the way teams are playing people deep, and the way teams are keeping too high safeties, the trend is I'm throwing a lot of quick stuff. I want to, there we go. Look at that. 18 to 25, and I don't see any connections deep. As a matter of fact, those plays over 20 yards, those were his interceptions. If you look at him in the red dot.
He wasn't great, man.
Yeah, he threw for $150.
Hey, but no one would question whether or not he has arm strength. He just didn't play well that day.
Real quick, the 45-yard touchdown pass is the little blue.
So is she right?
Yeah, that was
a long ball.
So if you look at it, my statement is look at all those green dots within a line of scrimmage. That is a symptom of what's going on league wide. I'm watching guys throw for 150, 175, 180. Now look, Patrick Mahomes has a track record of success, and I'm not going to dare say that he doesn't get the benefit of the doubt. He can have 10 games in a row, and he's still going to be more confident than what we are in Deshaun Watson. However, I will say that this seems to be a little something more than meets the eye when it comes to how teams are playing in short routes and passes.
So let me say this. Here's one of the things I always taught quarterbacks, and never forget this, and it's going to be very applicable to Patrick Mahomes. You never go broke taking a profit. You never go broke taking a profit. The difference in these two passing charts is Andy Reid calls a very aggressive passing game. So even though Patrick is doing a good job of not forcing the ball into coverage, he's doing a great job of finding a completion. Mm-hmm. So a lot of these completions are on aggressive downfield play calls. They're trying to get the ball deep to Xavier Worthy. They're trying to get the ball deep to Rashee Rice. So the illusion, the threat is there. This is just Patrick being great at finding Kelsey, finding Pacheco, finding some of those secondary options underneath so that the drives continue to move forward. And so when I'm talking to Deshaun, and I was talking about Ken Dorsey and Stephen Stefanski and the trust level, I'll be as aggressive as you allow me to be. Remember me saying that?
Yeah.
That's what I mean by this. That offense has to get to a point where they can call 12 aggressive vertical throws, and if only one of them's there, he finds completion on 10 of the other 11.
Yeah,
and so I'm glad you brought it up because that's great context. Never go broke taking a profit. That's what Mahomes is great at.
Wish I took that advice on FanDuel. Cash out options.
Did you blow your profit?
Hey, Dustin.
Yeah.
Hey, Dustin, unit size, baby. Unit size. If you bet straight bets, you don't have any cash out options. Don't be no sucker. Parlays are for suckers, man.
Sean, you're looking at a sucker right here.
Yeah. Just pick the winner, man. Pick the winner.
Hey, listen, I worked at a company called VSiN for a couple years.
Yeah, I remember
that.
that.
Sports betting platform. Owned by the Musburgers. Listen, sports gambling is a slow grind, man. If anybody's going to give you a $10 wager that brings back $1 million, you're probably not going to hit that often. It's better to bet 10 and win 8 and just keep building it.
Yeah.
It works. You're not going broke, taking a profit.
Yeah.
So, Sean, I want to talk a little bit more about before we let you go. G. Bush brought this up. We talked about it on Monday about how the league has changed. Everything seems upside down. Derek Carr and Baker Mayfield are slaying it, and Deshaun Watson and even Mahomes are, they're not putting up their typical numbers. A lot of that has to do with these split safeties that are back. I think this is kind of a reaction to the league going so in on offense. Think back to that game between the Bills and the Chiefs when it was like a pinball machine. I think the league is pivoted now, and we're going to see more defense. I think touchdown passes through week 1 and 2 are down almost half from just 4 years ago. What are your general trends in the league that you're seeing, and how do you combat that too high safety look?
Well, I think the first thing that people have to understand, the reason that the NFL is king is because of parity. The NFL is the only professional league where legitimately every year all 32 teams, fan bases can have hope. And if you don't believe me, look at the Texans 2 years ago and look at the Texans last year.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just saying, and it's not a surprise. I mean, look at the Saints. I know it's only 2 weeks in. Like, you just never know from year to year, like, which organization is going to get it right. The thing that nobody's talking about is G. Bush and his boys. I mean, the defensive line talent in the National Football League is as elite across the board as it's ever been.
Yeah.
Everybody's got elite pass rushers. Everybody's got 280-plus guys that can change direction. They're running sub-4.6 40s. Like, and when those guys are rushing what's a very mediocre pool of quarterbacks, and because we're in Cleveland, hey, listen, sometimes you leave your wife and your second wife is worse. Trust me, Deshaun Watson is more talented than 80% of the quarterbacks in this league. Now, I know you guys want consistency from a health standpoint and production standpoint, but listen, don't leave this marriage to go to one that's worse.
Hey, is the marriage between Daniel Jones and the Giants and Dable and that whole thing, is that a bad marriage?
Listen, man, have you guys seen Hard Knocks?
Yeah. I thought Dable came off well, actually.
Absolutely, but what's the GM's name?
Joe Shane.
Joe Shane, yeah.
Joe Shane. Joe Shane is in his office before the draft, and he's talking to his son. And he asks his son to rank the quarterbacks. And his son tells him, take Jaden Daniels, Dad, because you only get one shot at this thing, and we got to try and win. That's the greatest line in the history of Hard Knocks. The wisdom of a child. And Joe Shine is in the office with the owner and Daboll talking about Daniel Jones doesn't have protection. Daniel Jones is not good now. He wasn't good last year. He wasn't good at Duke. So they paid a bum, and they're getting exactly the results they deserve. They paid Daniel Jones off a year where he threw 15 touchdown passes, guys.
I know.
The year the Giants went to the playoffs, he threw 15 touchdown passes. They gave him $100 million guaranteed damn dollars. Yeah, I'm upset. Yeah, I'm mad because I'm too old. I got these grades. If I was about a decade younger, man, I'd be filthy rich.
Yeah, you know what? You and your buddy Warren Sapp, because back in the day, defensive linemen were paid well. But to your point, if you look at the amount of resources in dollars that NFL teams now commit to the defensive line compared to where it was in the 90s and even the 2000s when Warren was doing his thing with you in Tampa, they are higher priority now. They're getting paid, and they're changing the game. They're absolutely changing the game. You're 100% right.
100%. Before I go, Jay, in the fourth quarter of this game, it was 1:37 left.
Yeah.
Probably the worst moment of the game for everybody attached to the Browns offense.
Yep.
Terrible call by Ken Dorsey, or if John Fanta is right, Stefanski was calling the plays on the first drive when everything went well, but all the mistakes that were made with Dorsey. Fanta, you got reality need to set in over there, buddy. We got to start a segment that we got to make go national, and it's called Don't Will Levis. I'm going to diagram it like and Deshaun almost went full Will Levis. For some reason, they call a play action to the left for a right-handed quarterback in a crucial situation. It's an 18-13 game, guys. And I'm telling you, when you go watch that play, Deshaun run the ball, fall down, throw the ball away.
Yes.
But don't double pump 3 times. That ball was so close to being a fumble. Can you imagine how the narrative would be different if that had been a fumble and they scored a la Will?
They would have run him out of town.
Sean, why didn't they just run the ball? If they were going to have him roll out left, why didn't they just run the ball and take a knee?
But, Sean, you know as well as anybody, okay, if you call a stupid play, and it was a stupid play call there.
Stupid.
And not just because it didn't work. If it worked, it still would have been stupid. You're not going to do that there. But, Sean, every quarterback from the 7th grade on, maybe except Will Levis, and I love the way Callahan called Will Levis out, by the way. He made a dumb play, just like he did in week 1, and it cost us the game. But, Sean, you know this. The one thing you can't do there, well, there's several things. You can't fumble, you can't throw an interception, but you can't stop the clock. And I don't understand why Deshaun didn't just tuck it and go down and take 35 more seconds off the clock, 40 more seconds off.
Can't coach awareness, can you, Sean?
Hey, man, in the words of Forrest Gump, stupid is and stupid does.
A little preview, Sean and I, in about an hour, are going to hop on
You're right.
Sean, in about an hour, you and I are going to hop on a stream and break down some of those plays with the film, including the one you just mentioned. And I know people are very excited that, so post that on social media is coming up later today.
Very good.
Sean, we appreciate you. Terrific insight as always, and can't wait to see if you could do all this without video. Wait till you see what kind of Shaun King breakdowns you get with the film coming up on social media later
Dustin,
today.
G. Bush, Jay Crawford till next week, fellas.
You're the best, brother.
Thanks,
You're the best. He brings it. There's no question about it.
He had about 7 takes on there. That's put them on some.
Hey, man, and he played QB in the league for 7 years. Like, I can't call a quarterback a bum. I didn't even play the hardest position in sports. I mean, that dude knows his game, and he coached it.
I remember I think it was '99 when he came in, and I think he went 9-0.
Yeah, I mean, he had that 1 year. That was the year, right? Yeah.
His senior year at Tulane, I think he went 11-0. So it was like. And nobody believed it, but this guy couldn't lose.
Yeah.
And if you remember, they lost, the Bucs, in St. Louis to the Rams, the greatest show on turf, on a very controversial play that was so controversial they changed the rule. Bert Emanuel had caught a ball, and they said the ball was moving in his hands, and they looked at it, and they ended up overturning it. But the game, I think, was 14-12, and that play put them into field goal range, but it was 4th down. They would have ended up winning that game and going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And it was all Shaun King. Shaun came in, and I remember just my overwhelming thought covering that team was, this guy is perfect for this team. He doesn't try to be a hero. He doesn't make stupid mistakes. They've got an all-time great defense. Dilfer ended up leaving Tampa Bay when Shaun took his job. He went to Baltimore and he won a Super Bowl with a very similar blueprint. Great defense, just do enough on offense to get them to win.
Listen, are we going to recap that, McDougal? I mean, he said he's better than 80%.
Yeah, listen, Shaun does not hold anything back. He's honest. If it's good, he's going to tell you. If it's not, he's going to tell you.
No, what he said was, you have to go back and listen to it, but I think
he's more talented than 80%.
More talented.
Okay.
Of course he is.
A lot of people.
He's physically gifted.
A lot of people was after week 1, we was questioning whether he was washed though.
I think you can be a talented guy, but also be dealing with like some injuries.
Well, Jeff George.
Yeah.
I thought he gave him a C. There's room for improvement, but in what he was saying, I thought he was very, very high on his play.
Well, he also said stupid is what stupid does.
Yeah, he actually called both of them
He
stupid.
did it both, yeah.
And you know what? I love what he said when he started.
John Fanta had a whole bottle of hair gel.
No, that was great.
Don't you dare hold me 8 minutes again.
The truth, you've got to be truthful with what you see. And I think he said some very good things about Deshaun Watson, and I think he said some very bad things about Deshaun Watson. And when you average it out, that's a C. Mm-hmm. And that's what he was.
To further that, the 6 clips he picked, 2 are sacks, 1 is that last rollout play, and then 3 are some of the best Deshaun throws we saw.
So that's perfect.
All game. So you're going to get the good and the bad.
I love it.
We're going to show that on, like I said, social media. Then we're going to play some on the WKYC show.
By the way,
by the way, JJ McCarthy at IMG, I'd forgotten about that.
I don't think Deshaun's dumb. I don't
either.
So, I didn't think that was. I mean, he's
he
joking.
Made a bad play in that spot.
That was tongue in cheek by Shaun. But I think that in that moment, Deshaun has to you got to be aware pre-snap of what the situation is. How much time's on the clock?
Yes.
What's the worst thing that can happen here? I think you always have to.
It's kind of like if you're Myles Straw and they put you into pinch run.
I was just going to say.
What's the one thing I can't do here? I spent the whole season in the minor leagues. I've been brought up because I'm fast and I can steal bases and maybe win a playoff game. Okay, it's my first opportunity. What's the one thing I can't do here? Get picked off.
He's like, this my shot.
And
this my chance.
Jay,
he got picked off.
Just to relate to baseball because you're the baseball guy. Okay, don't you know where the ball's got to go? Okay, we got to force it home, so let's go.
Yeah,
got to have awareness, man.
And before the play, if you're playing shortstop, if you're playing catcher, third base, whatever.
You're thinking ahead, right? Where you got to go.
If the ball is hit to me, what am I doing? If it's hit to my left, what am I doing? If it's hit to my right, what am I doing? What's the situation? And in that situation, that's why I said every quarterback after the 7th grade, they know what you can't do.
Right.
Just like what they need to do. And what you can't do in that spot, and he's right, is fumble. And that was close to a fumble. Mm-hmm. And he's right. If they fumbled there and the Browns would have gone on to lose that football game, it would have been an ugly plane ride home.
Yeah, and be an ugly week, too.
Because
people would continue, as well as Deshaun played for the 59 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, or 58 minutes.
He would be remembered for that.
Right.
And you've got to coach that out of your decision-making. You've got to be aware. It's awareness. You said you can't coach awareness.
That's Mel Tuckerism, man. He used to say it all the time. You can't coach it.
You can't?
Nope.
If I drill that into his head for a week.
Don't you have friends that are just lack awareness about what's going on in certain situations?
You can't coach it. I guess
you
right.
can't coach it. You you look at the Madden grades, bro. That's the reason. Some guys out there with 51.
He had awareness at Clemson.
But here's the thing. What I'm going to do as a coach.
Well, easier offense in college.
I like to keep all the control. Listen, listen. I'm not going to put it on. Nah, I'm gonna handle this one. No, we're not running that. No, we can't. Some people can't handle it.
It's funny that you said that because I said he had it at Clemson. When I was watching the ManningCast, Bill Belichick was talking about the play of Williams. And he tried to make some crazy, I'm going to turn to my left, I'm going to turn to my right. And Bill, in his deadpan style, said, yeah, in college you might have been able to turn that upfield and run for 30 yards. But the guys you're playing against now, they're not the guys you were playing against in college.
Exactly.
Every single player he's playing against now was the best player on their team in college.
100%.
And it's tough to get that off now.
I want to see him build on it. Decent C, got room for.
All right, I do too. And against the Giants, I expect him to be in the B+ category.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair.
And it may help if he had some extra weapons, which is our next topic here. We got 2 more before we wrap up today's show. And this next topic is brought to us by Game Time. If you're looking to get tickets to a live event, no matter what kind, there's no better place to get your tickets than online with the ease and convenience of your phone using the Game Time app. And right now, Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. You can still get the panoramic view from your seat before you buy on the Game Time Picks option, which makes it the single easiest, unquestionably the easiest way to get it in just minutes. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Once again, create an account on the Game Time app and redeem code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time.
We got a question for you. Shaun King, the breakdowns. The chat is wondering, how can they see those breakdowns? Where would they be at?
Social.
Would they be on Twitter?
Yeah, post them on Twitter over the next 2 days.
Okay, so
recording at 1:30. They'll be sporadically posted one at a time throughout the next few days.
All right, so follow us on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. It'll be on our Twitter page. You can check those out.
Yep.
All right. Speaking of weapons, the Panthers have benched Bryce Young, their number 1 overall pick from 2 years ago. And according to multiple reports, they are at least fielding calls for Diontae Johnson. Some teams have reached out and at least just expressed interest in what it would take to get their number 1 receiver, former Steelers receiver, signed with the Carolina Panthers. They're not going anywhere, so they may be looking to unload him. Amari Cooper's been MIA through 2 weeks. They just lost David Bell. Is that a call Andrew Berry should make? At least to check in on the availability of one Diontae Johnson?
What you feel, Fox?
I think they love their receiver room.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, I think you make a call for everybody just to see what the value is. Does it make sense? I always think that GM should never sit back and say, we're good here. No, make the call, investigate the situation. And yeah, I agree with Shaun King. Our offense on the outside has lacked explosiveness, and Amari looks completely like he's lost a step this year for some reason. I don't know if he's battling something or not, but unless we get some speed going on the outside or take some shots down the field, look at that passing chart. There's not a lot of shots down the field, if any, right? So Diontae Johnson, who I called a lot of his games at Toledo, is a hell of a player. Hasn't done anything this year. You look at the numbers in the past in Pittsburgh, like he's a hell of a player.
That year, go back and I think it was Ben Roethlisberger's last year.
Yeah.
Diontae Johnson was a monster. Like, he was one of the...
Because they were trying to, replace Antonio Brown.
Yeah, they were spoon-feeding him.
And they had a quarterback that could get him the ball.
Yeah.
Man, this is a yes and a double yes as, the general lieutenant and first corporal of Project Stockpile.
Operation Stockpile. I knew that was coming.
At all times, I am on the waiver wire. Yeah. Even when I'm sleeping, I'm in the waiver wire. Just thinking of just random trades that won't probably work. Just throwing it out there. Yeah, bro. Come on, man. This wide receiving core is not explosive. The wide receiver core, your number 1 receiver, looks like he's aging very quickly. And even if he isn't aging quickly, I like competition. You just lost David Bell for the season. He was a guy that was getting minutes for you. All the the Cedric Tillman fans, we haven't seen it.
Not yet. Let's do this. I think we're all in agreement. Of course you're going to check. The real question here is, what are you willing to give up to get him?
Minimums.
Like, fourth?
Fourth? No. I get him for 5 or 6 pennies on a dollar.
You think?
Yeah.
Dustin, you think that they're going to let him go for a 5th or a 6th? Because that's punting on the season, by the way.
They've been punting. When they took Bryce Young out.
Well, that's a different argument. By the way, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the Carolina Panthers for replacing the Browns as the organization that is completely inept and can't get out of their way. We're no longer that. They are the poster child for it. When you think about what and by the way, I don't think it's a stupid call now to bench him. I thought it was a stupid call to draft him.
You were off yesterday, so my take on this was that they're benching him to save him right now. Like they don't want this guy to continue to drown.
He's done, bro. There's no saving him.
I don't think
he's 5'10" and 175 pounds. It was dumb to ever draft him in the first place. And by the way, take a look at all of the former Alabama quarterbacks right now and what they're doing in the NFL.
Yeah, that's not fair, though.
I know we've crowned some of them as being like the next great, but I mean
Jalen Hurts just went to the Super Bowl.
He did, but he also threw a stupid interception that cost him a game Monday.
Who doesn't do that, though?
And by the way, he also regressed hardcore at the end of last year.
I don't disagree with that. And
I'm not saying that he's done and washed and Tua is what Tua.
Would you take Tua or Jalen Hurts over Deshaun Watson?
No.
Clip that. Hey, I need that to go. Listen, we starting the 6 o'clock news with that.
No.
Jay has crossed over. We are here.
No, I haven't.
We are here. Listen, Jalen, so if you wouldn't take Tua or Hurts, Tua threw for 4 racks. Almost.
Guys, think about it. They all had great success in college at a national championship level.
Okay.
They all came into the league and early on had a pretty good amount of success. But eventually the league catches up to a gimmick, to something that's different. And I think we've seen it a lot over the last 8 years, 10 years. Go back to RG3. Hell, when RG3 came in, we're like, oh, there it is. Ron Jaworski said he's a Hall of Famer. While I was on the set with Jaws. Jaws is one of the most respected analysts I've ever worked with. And I almost fell off the seat when he said that. Like, we're going to call him a Hall of Famer 7 games into his career. And RG3 wasn't the only one that happened to. Remember, Colin Kaepernick.
Oh, yeah. That's a good point.
We thought, he made it to a Super Bowl. He's going to be here forever.
Dustin, when you take
Deshaun Watson had a great deal of success when he came into the league. Not so much anymore.
I need this to be a moment. Would you take Tua or Jalen Hurts over Deshaun Watson?
I mean, does Tua come with the concussions?
Well, listen, as is. I factored it in. As is.
So the answer is
That's
no.
one of the reasons Tua is immediately out of the conversation for me.
Now, I don't know if I'm making a big point out of this. McNuggets, am I tripping?
That Jay would take Watson over those guys?
No. Yeah, Watson over Tua and Hurts.
No.
I mean, are you asking me, or are you?
I'm asking you.
I am still holding out hope that Deshaun Watson is going to be what he used to be.
Okay.
I haven't completely punted on that notion.
All right, man.
Now, I said last year, and I'll say it again. With every game I see new and not improved Deshaun Watson, it's harder for me to get to the point where he was in Houston.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, man.
But I never was impressed with Jalen Hurts. I just wasn't. If you need 1 yard, he's my guy. 1,000 times out of 1,000, he's my guy. If you need a guy that can pull a semi-truck with a rope, he's my guy. But if you need a guy to make great decisions in key moments in the game and make perfect throws, he is not my guy.
All right.
I think it's funny. If you ask this question to people in Cleveland, people in Miami, and people to Philly, they would give you 3 completely separate answers and would be so adamant about it being the only right answer possible that it would be crazy. I think it comes down to personal preference. If you like a pocket passer, and we're taking the concussions out of the equation with Tua.
No. I'm
just saying, in general, if you were, Tua's the best pocket passer right now.
Tua, I would. If Tua was completely healthy, I would take Tua over all of them.
Jalen Hurts, probably the best scrambler of the 3. I've never trusted his ability to throw the ball. He never throws it to the middle of the field.
And there's a reason for it.
Red zone. Even in this new offense with Kellen Moore, I haven't loved what I've seen for the first 2 weeks. Deshaun did not play well whatsoever against Dallas. Played better, but not great against Jacksonville.
Right.
He's still an unknown. He probably has the highest upside of the 3.
And that's why I'm staying. That's exactly why I made that decision.
I think you can make a tangible case, G, for all 3. And I don't think right now, say if you had to pick one, there's truly a right or wrong answer.
No, it's a fascinating question, G. It is.
I just wanted to go there.
I'll also say this.
Yeah. I'll make it a YouTube poll.
And consider this, too. Of the 3, and they've all had some success, Deshaun, though he hasn't had team success, has had the most individual success. He had an MVP-type season. I am not letting go of that. And by the way, we've got 3 more years with him, so we can't.
And so the reason I say that is because there are still some skill set traits that people value. That was the point. The point was to ask the question, when you look at Tua and you look at Jalen Hurts, right? You look at both of those guys. If you need somebody to drop back and throw the football and make an on-time read in between coverage, I don't think people are expecting that from them. I don't think that's the strong part.
I don't think there's a huge difference in the 3 in what you just asked for. Do you? I think they're all very similar.
If you had to, if it's 3rd and 10, and I need a guy to make a throw. Now, granted,
I definitely trust those 2 guys, Tua and Jalen, more than I trust Deshaun Watson
right now.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I'm not an idiot. I've watched these guys play the last 2 years, and those guys, Tua and Jalen, have done more good things more recently than Deshaun Watson. So I think it's very difficult to say that I would take Deshaun over those other guys who have played well recently.
Dustin, it's almost like you're in a relationship with someone who once upon a time was unbelievable. And then they hit a skid, whether it was an addiction or whatever it was. They hit a skid and things went south fast. The reason people tend to stay in those relationships is because they can't forget how good it was.
Right.
And they keep hoping he's going to change. I know he can be this person. I saw this person. I lived with this person for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really hard to end a relationship. Now, if the relationship starts out great for 2 weeks and then turns sour, you don't have that much to work with on what you're hoping it becomes.
Not enough
But
history.
I am so addicted to the idea that this guy can be the guy, and because I want to more than anything. I need him to be. I'm getting old. I'm running out of chances. I want him to be the guy. So I'm not going, because exactly what Shaun said, be careful divorcing someone, because the relationship you might jump into might be even
But Jay,
worse.
they're not going to divorce Deshaun this year. I mean, I don't think that's even in play. Fanta mentions like playing Jameis Winston at some point, and I don't see that.
I've heard that
happening this
narrative
year.
a lot. I
don't think that's a
dismiss that.
smart play to think about Deshaun Watson. Yeah, of course,
He only
Flacco was
plays
great
if he
last
gets
year.
hurt.
Exactly.
Deshaun is not going to get benched unless it becomes Bryce Young bad.
So is he showing you enough? This is, question is he showing, as you guys watch the game, is he showing you enough that says, hey, it could still be in there? Or,
You know what he's doing?
Or are we living off the style?
Yeah, no, here's what he's doing. He's taking you to dinner and bringing you flowers, but he's also staying out with his boys till 3 a.m. on Saturday.
Okay, so.
And wifey's like, but God, he was so great Thursday. He got flowers for me. We went to the best restaurant in town, and now it's 3 o'clock in the morning on Saturday, and he's not home.
So
there's some good and there's some bad.
Okay.
And you're trying to remember the good before you kick him to the curb. Am I wrong?
I mean, I like the analogies.
I like it.
I mean, I'm an analogy guy, so I'll sit here all day and take those analogies. But to your question, you just asked me, do I see that in Deshaun? Answer is no. I think he has lost something he had.
Okay.
Can he get it back?
So,
that I don't know that you can answer, because I don't know his
because of what's going on up here.
I'm concerned about the mental aspect, but I'm also concerned about the physical aspect. The physical aspect, no one can know. I mean, no one knows what's going on inside his body. I guess it's probably the same thing for the brain too. Like, we don't know what mentally he's going through.
True.
Or what he's thinking about, or what his processes. We don't know that. Physically, when I see him on the field, he looks a little slower than he did in Houston. Mm-hmm. He looks like he's a little hesitant. Yes, he made some good plays in that game on Sunday. But I guess, if that's the bar's been lowered to just hope that we can get that performance. That's not good enough.
No.
I think here's because I went through all the gambit of emotions. Like, man, this don't look like it used to look. Then I thought I would rather you start off slow, even though it hurts to take that L to the Cowboys. But for me, it was the first time I saw certain little twinges. Because like you, I before I said the Cowboys game, after that was over, I said, man, this dude looks slow. And he doesn't look like he get throwing the ball out of bounds. I said, man, that ain't it. But for the first time, the one throw to Judy, or him escaping and getting out of the pocket, and the ball placement looked better. For the first time for me, it was like, oh, okay, I can see, I saw glimmers of what it used to be, right? And so if you're optimistic, what you're hoping for is each week he starts to get some of those things back.
Yeah, but at some point, I need to see it consistently. I can't, because Baker Mayfield was great one week and awful the next. The reason he's not here anymore is because he was Jekyll and Hyde.
You have to. He can't. So if they come out against the Giants and he's back to what he did against Cowboys,
oh no, that ain't gonna work.
You can't do that. It has to be building and stacking on levels, right? I want to see him more and more take responsibility for the offense, more and more eliminate the penalties, or more and more eliminate some of that stuff. And the hope is that after you build and after you continually and you get comfortable, because you are playing games in a row and you're at the position practicing every day, you're playing 17 games, that somewhere, somehow it clicks and it says, oh, that's what I get it now. I'm comfortable. I'm back. That's the hope. Now, the reality of the situation is nobody knows if we're living on memories or we're living on hope. Because we don't know until we see him play consistently for 17 games if it's in there or if it's just fool's gold.
What's interesting to that point is we're grading on a curve now.
Yep.
Everybody says it. 250 is the new 300.
Which is
two touchdowns is the new 3 touchdowns.
And that muddies it up for us, Jay.
It does, because we're expecting the 350s and the 3 touchdowns. Mahomes isn't doing that now. Hell, Derek Carr, although they put up 91 points or whatever, I think he had like 241 yards passing
something
or
like
something.
that.
It's not like he threw it for 400. I honestly think that you'll have one-offs where that happens. But there were weeks where we had 4 or 5 quarterbacks going over 400.
Everybody.
And 12 to 14 were going over 300.
So now
we got what? How many 300-yard passing games do we have this year? 3?
I actually saw this stat yesterday. Let me pull it up.
Very few. And up is down and down is up. Baker Mayfield and Derek Carr, 2 guys that have been given up on by teams, are leading the league in passer ratings and every number you can look at.
That makes it difficult because now we want an indication that
Jay,
marker.
I got your number.
Go ahead.
15 through 2 weeks last season, 5 through 2 weeks this
Stunning.
season.
It's stunning. We're grading on a curve now.
And 4 last week. There was.
It's
only
almost
one
like in
week
baseball how, you don't get 20-game winners anymore. No one will ever win 300 games again. 300 games, I don't want to say it was common, but it happened regularly.
Complete games, not happening.
No, complete games are different. And I think in the NFL what we're seeing is to Sean's point, teams are putting more resources into their defensive ends, their defensive lines. It's making it more difficult on the quarterbacks. One of the ways to stop these big 60-yard plays, one after another, is the 2 splits, high safeties, and we're pivoting in the NFL. Probably into an era of defense. And who knows? Wouldn't it be interesting if the run game was vogue once again?
I think we're a little overreacting. I know there's been some numbers with the last few years that have skewed towards less offense.
A lot of numbers.
Honestly, man, I'm telling you, I do think that early in I don't have any numbers to back this up. This is speculation. I think that the lack of preseason has made teams start off slow. They haven't had the rhythm offensively.
We'll see if they pick up.
Yeah.
But to that point, going back 3 years ago when the schedule went to 17 games, we saw this new philosophy about keeping your guys out of the preseason.
Right.
And 3 years ago, there was 110 touchdowns through 2 weeks.
There's 69.
And now there's 69. That's not a blip. That's not an anomaly. That's almost a 50% reduction.
Yeah.
That's look at that. That number is stunning. And it's going in the wrong direction if you're an offensive fan.
Play the guys in the preseason.
I agree. I couldn't agree with that more.
We got a bunch of super chats to wrap up today's show. And super chats today are brought to us by DoorDash. Anyone out there who is watching a game from home, no matter what game it is, watching TV, don't want to cook, use DoorDash. Simple, easy, at the tip of your finger. And right now they're giving away up to 50% off on a $10 value when you spend $15 or more on your first order. If you use promo code LOCKEDFALL24, it is a limited time offer. Terms apply. Promo is not valid for orders containing alcohol. DoorDash, your door to game day greatness, your door to more. Download the DoorDash app today to order your game day favorites. You must be 21 or older to order alcohol. Drink responsibly. Alcohol is only available in select markets. We got some super chats to wrap up today's show. First one comes from Jeffrey Anderson, who says, "Spike only, please." I'm not sure what that's in reference to.
I don't know.
G. Bush's bad knee. Before I read this, G. Bush, 'cause it's a mean comment. Is this your burner?
No, I don't.
Do you have any association with this?
No.
Okay. The account is G. Bush's bad knee?
G. Bush's bad knee.
I have officially made it. When you have parody accounts, you are now top shelf.
How's your knee doing?
I'll tell you, you don't want that.
How's the knee?
It's like a baby. It cries, it whines. It's
finicky.
Yeah, it be playing around.
How's your back?
Back is good. Neck and my back. The neck has been good.
What about the other stuff?
All the other stuff is good.
Can we get someone to start a G. Bush's neck account?
The neck is the
general soreness.
Yeah,
G. Bush's sore neck.
I am day to day on the UCSS injury.
So
aren't we all?
We do not endorse this, but G. Bush's bad knee, he paid for it, so we read it. He said Fat Elton John was cooking.
I didn't get it.
Yeah, whatever. Next one, Lincoln Chiller says, "Great logic
Is
by
he saying
Fanta."
that he's dressed like Elton John today? I don't get it.
I think he's talking about Fanta.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, whatever. G. Bush, bad job out of your bad knee.
my
Lincoln
knee,
Chiller said,
yeah.
"Great logic by Fanta. Stefanski can turn around Flacco and Winston, but somehow can't turn around a former top 5 quarterback. Doesn't make sense to me." Acid Brooks wanted us to show the Mahomes pass chart, which we did. Mongo has 2. Deshaun and Amari are not on the same page. If Hudson holds his block on that last play, it would have been a touchdown. And Akimbo's RPG says, "Would you rather have Derek Carr, Sam Darnold, or Baker Mayfield?"
those are like the 3 top quarterbacks right now in the NFL. It's nuts.
I would probably take Baker.
I'd take Baker.
Baker. Yeah.
Those are super chats. Jay, 1 minute on the guards. The floor is yours.
Don't everybody wants to panic over what happened yesterday. I brought it up in spite. I know Bull is furious about it. Bull and I would have had a really good argument about it today.
He knew the argument was going to happen, and he saved the voice.
Yeah.
He made a business
exactly right.
decision.
Yeah, he did make a business decision. Myles Straw was brought here to play defense and steal bases in the playoffs. He wasn't brought here to hit. He wasn't brought here to steal a base in a 1-run game against the Twins. They're going to win the division. They're going to be fine. I'm fine with the fact that they added him to the roster. Go back and ask the Boston Red Sox, who ended one of the longest World Series drought. I think their World Series drought is probably as long as ours is right now.
Yeah.
They ended it because Dave Roberts, the last man on the roster, was inserted as a pinch hitter pinch runner in Game 4 when they were down 3-0 and about to get swept. He stole a base. He scored a run. Look it up. They beat the Yankees, and the rest is history. Is that going to happen here? There's a chance. Stolen bases are big in the playoffs.
Stolen bases matter.
But I didn't like the fact that he got picked.